Good evening to you all. My name is Abdul Kondeh, and for my master's project, I will be talking on the relationship between firearm fatalities and poverty in Pima County. With my very first slide here, I wanted it to be as self-explanatory as possible. So if you look at the top there, it has firearm, and right down there is poverty, and just sitting right in the middle is Pima County, Arizona. Notwithstanding that, I would like to take a quick look at the problem statement and need for the study. So the problem statement of my project tries to answer a very simple question. Is there a relationship between firearm fatalities and poverty in Pima County? Or in other words, is there a correlation between firearm fatalities and poverty in Pima County? Or maybe better still, is poverty a causative factor for the incidence of firearm fatalities in Pima County? So having this question in mind, we will want to know the importance of the study. Whatever you have to do, there should be a need for it. If there is no need for it, then, well, with my opinion, I don't think there is any reason for you to do it. So but before I talk about the need of the study, I would like to ask a very simple question. Well, I would say the question that I want to ask is kind of a little bit unnecessary, but anyway, I'll just have to ask it. So my question here is, does firearm fatalities require the utmost attention? Well, I told you it's an unnecessary question, but because right now I feel like you'll be saying to yourself oh, what's wrong with him? Doesn't he watch the news? Doesn't he read the papers? Doesn't he listen to the radios? Every day, there is something crazy going on out there. Every day, every second, someone becomes a victim of gun violence. So with this in mind, yeah, I would like to quote myself on the need for this study. It reads, innovative strategies, sensitizations, implementation of any problem-solving tool is very essential. But firstly, identifying its source can be a more lasting solution. This is easily put, and I believe there is nothing that can be more true than this. If you want to solve a problem, the first thing you have to do, you have to identify the source of that problem. That way you can have a more lasting solution. So keeping this in mind, yeah, just to guide our path through this presentation, we'll talk about the study area, and we'll discuss the methods, the results, and then we'll discuss the conclusion. So this is a map of Pima County. It's found in the south central part of the United States. It's the second highly populated county in Arizona State among 15 other counties. And two things that we'll want to keep in mind for these studies is that Arizona State has high incidence of poverty. Since 2014, it has been the third worst state in the nation. Also, Arizona State does have high incidence of gun violence though. Since 2010, it was the 11th worst state in the nation. So this map here is just to orientate us some more. So this is Tucson Metropolitan and its neighborhoods. Methods. So in order to work with your data, you have to really comprehend your data. You have to understand what you're working with. So when I did a little bit of exploration with my data, and these are some of the facts and patterns that I was able to come up with. So across the 3 years, because the focus of this study looked at a 3-year span from 2010, 2011 to 2012. So from the graph there, you'll be able to like tell that the 2011 had the highest gun death. 2010 has 155, and there is an increase between 2010 and 2011, and there was a decrease between 2011 and 2010. So there was a 6.6% increase between 2010 and 2011, and a 19.3% between 2011 and 2012. I was also curious to know the effect of this on gender, like male and female who are more involved in gun death violence. Well, from the graph there, you can tell that more men have been involved in gun death violence than women. Well, I don't know, it seems like men love doing all the actions though. Also, I was very curious to like find out the various ages that are more involved in gun death. So I had to like create 4 different ranges of age. So one that I looked at was before adult, and the second one was young adult. The other one is middle age and old adult. So you can see the patterns across the 3 different years. Like you can you will notice that there was a similar patterns. Like before adulthood, the amount of people involved in gun death violence was low. It tend to like increase and then decrease with age. So for this study, I did create a choropleth map. This map just helps us visualize the spread of poverty across the state. So this is percentage of poverty across census tract. And so the census tracts were assigned different colors that reflect magnitude of poverty in the county. So all the dark census tract, like the dark green census tract that have high incidence of poverty, while the lighter ones have low incidence of poverty. So this is just a zoom map on the Tucson metropolitan area. You can see series of dark pockets census tract with high incidence of poverty. So I did the same with our point data, which is the gun death data. So I just represented every mode of gun death with circles. So the different modes that I use in this data is accident, undetermined, homicides, and suicides. So all of them were represented by different colors for us to like just have a good sense of the spread of gun death across the county. One thing you can notice here is that most of the points were found in the Tucson metropolitan area. And this pattern was similar across all 3 years of study. You can see how the placement of the point changes, even though it doesn't change that much, but yeah, most of all the points were like found in the Tucson metropolitan area. So I did use the hotspot analysis. What this tool do is like find spatially high clustered and low clustered areas in the data. So a census tract will only be considered as a hotspot if it is found within other census tracts with high values of poverty. So all the census tracts, all the dark red areas are the hotspot areas and the blue areas are the cold spot area. So zooming on that too, zooming on the Tucson metropolitan area too, you'll be able to like realize that there was a lot of clustering going on around the Tucson metropolitan area too. So I did the same thing with the point, but this time with a different tool called the point density analysis. So this tool also found clusters within point data. So all those dark areas are the areas that all these gun deaths were concentrated, and the lighter ones are areas that have few gun deaths. So the pattern is very similar across the 3 years as well. So I was very curious to pinpoint these areas to know whether the clustering in my poverty data and the clustering in my gun death data occurred in the same area. So what I did did an overlay with these two layers. So this is my resultant map. You can see that, looking at it from this point of view, you can tell that the clustering in the poverty data and the clustering in the gun data occurred in the same area. Well, even though it's from a very far distance, but yeah, looking at it visually, you will be able to tell that it occurred in the same area. So the pattern was similar across the 3 years too. You can see how those point changes. But even though by looking at it visually, you can tell that this point occurred in a very similar area, I use the chi-square statistics to be 100% sure whether there was a significant relationship between these variables. So how the chi-square that I used, what did I do? I had to create 3 different intervals in terms of high poverty areas, medium poverty areas, and low poverty areas. So I calculated my observed incidences by using the selection tool in ArcGIS, and yeah, pinpointing all the points that occurs in this area. Then from there, I had to use the observed incidence to calculate the expected incidence. So using this chi-square formula, I calculated my chi-square, then I used the table value to compare these numbers in order to test the statistical significance of my result. So I also use the Cramer's view statistical method in order to determine the magnitude of the relationship, because even though if you find a relationship between 2 variables, you want to know whether the relationship between them is strong or weak, or whether there is no relationship between them at all. My result. So with my chi-square, for the 2010 and 2011, when I compared the 2 results that I have, the calculated value was higher than the table value. And once the calculated value is higher than the table value, that shows that there is some significance between the 2 variables, which is there is a relationship between whatever variable that you're looking at. In this sense, there is a relationship between the poverty incidence and the gun death fatalities for 2010 and 2011, while for 2012, the calculated value was less than the table value. So there was no relationship for the 2012 study year of my project. So like I said, I use the Cramer's view statistical method for me to determine the magnitude of the relationship. So when I calculated that value, I had a 0.198 and a 0.267, which was less than the 0.3, and it shows that there was a very weak relationship between these variables. So even though, for my conclusions, even though there was a relationship between the firearm fatalities and poverty incidents in 2010 and 2011, my Cramer's view results shows that the relationship that is between them is very weak. So just a recap, we talked about the study area, the Pima County We'll discuss the methods, results, and conclusions. These are my sources.